Shreya Bhatt. I am from Dallas, Texas. On behalf of JKYog, I would like to welcome you to this very special hangout with Swami Mukundananda. During this live session with Swamiji, we will be picking up some questions from the audience. You can send your questions to hangout@jkyog.org. Swamiji is on his USA program tour and joining us from Connecticut today. Swamiji, welcome to this hangout.
Thank you, Shreya. Namaste to everyone who has joined us on this hangout today. I look forward to talking with all of you.
We also have 3 other participants from different backgrounds, and they will be part of this interactive hangout. Let us meet everyone. First, we are going to meet Shanil Sen from San Jose, California. Shanil is a young professional.
Namaste everyone. Namaste Swamiji.
Namaste, Shanil. Do ask some tough questions today.
Okay.
Next, we are meeting Alka Singh, a proud stay-home mother and a strong volunteer from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Namaste Swamiji. Namaste everyone. It's a true honor to be here today.
Namaste, Alka. I'm looking forward to your questions today.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Next, we have Kiran Kali from Irving, Texas. Kiran is a pharmacist.
Hello Swamiji. Hello everyone.
Hello, Kiran. Happy to be with you on this hangout.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kiranji. Now, on the subject of today's hangout. When we hear of good things happening to good people, we accept it as being proper. For example, if a good doctor who has selflessly served people all life himself lives a healthy and long life, we say this is fair and just. Similarly, if we hear that a dacoit got killed in a car accident, we again take it to be appropriate justice for all that he did. However, if we see the reverse, bad things happening to good people and good things happening to bad people, then become disturbed about the rationality of life and the world. So we are fortunate that we have with us today Swami Mukundananda to help us find the answer to the question, why do bad things happen to good people? Swamiji, would you like to say a few introductory words before we begin asking questions?
Well, this hangout is a new initiative by JKYog. This is our first hangout, and the topic has been chosen so that it interests a lot of people. The first time I Googled this topic, why do bad things happen to good people, I came up with more than 500,000 websites. That just shows the number of people who are pondering upon this question. Now, this is supposed to be an interactive session, so I will look forward to the questions that come up from our panelists and from the audience. So we will let the topic unfold as the questions come up.
Thank you, Swamiji. Let us pass the camera over to Kiran to begin today's questions.
Thank you Shreyaji. Swamiji, before we go towards the system of justice of God, I would like to ask you about the importance of justice in the world. What is justice and why do we seek justice in the world we live?
Kiran, the concept of justice needs to be understood in conjunction with two more concepts. One is injustice and the other is grace. For example, if a worker works all day long in the factory and at the end the factory owner offers him the remuneration, the salary of the day, that is justice. One got what one deserved. Let us say the worker worked all day long and at the end the factory owner made an excuse, profits are not good and I am not able to give you the salary, you will have to go without pay today. That is injustice. And let us say the factory worker, although he worked 5 days in the week, he put in a request to the factory owner that he needs money for family reasons and he's requesting a donation from the owner, and out of his kindness the owner grants something. That is grace. Now, justice, to implement that, we have got a whole department in the material world called the law department, which is concerned exactly with this, with dispensing justice to the people. Justice is very important because consequences fashion behavior. This happens even in the case of animals. There is a story of Akbar and Birbal. Akbar said, Birbal, can anybody train a goat not to eat grass? So Birbal said, Your Majesty, it can definitely be done. Now he got this goat to his house, and each time the goat would go for grass, Birbal would give it a whack with a stick on its mouth. When that behavior was repeated sufficient number of times, the goat got the message. Birbal took the goat to the court of Akbar along with the stick in the other hand. He said, Your Majesty, this goat has been trained to desist from eating grass. Akbar instructed some green grass to be brought. The grass was offered to the goat. The goat looked towards Birbal. Birbal shook the stick in his other hand, and seeing that, the goat got scared and it desisted from eating grass. So even an animal's behavior gets fashioned by consequences. When bad things happen to us as a result of bad behavior, we tend to refrain from that kind of behavior. Jagat Guru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj once said, I heard from his mouth, that when he was young, when his cousins' children would not study, they would bring their children to him. He would lock up the child in a room for 24 hours or even more. The child would start crying, Chacha, uncle, I will study, please let me out. He would just let him remain in that room. And finally, when that boy realized that such behavior has terrible consequences, that boy would then, having been released from the room, decide that it's better to study. There was a best-selling management book many years ago called The 1 Minute Manager. Some of you may have read that book. It talks about how to manage people through 1 minute consequences. So in this book, the author explains that when somebody does good things in the organization, you go up to the guy, reward him for a minute, explain to that person how good you feel about this and how happy you are. In other words, give a positive affirmation for good behavior. And when a person behaves badly, punish that person for a minute. give a 1 minute scolding, let that person know how terrible you feel about this kind of behavior. Now, that 1 minute scolding and 1 minute reward, when dispensed again and again, passes the message that good behavior is rewarded and bad behavior is punished. So, when such consequences are visible to the people, they desist from bad behavior. That is why, when in any country or in any state, justice is quick, justice is proper, and justice is easily accessible, then people desist from crime. The level of crime in that place falls drastically. That is why we see in Singapore. Now, in Singapore, the system of punishment is quite different from other places. If somebody commits a crime, not only is that person put in jail, but that person is also caned. And that caning is really drastic. As a result, the crime rate in Singapore is amongst the lowest in the world. On the other hand, where justice is not available, then anarchy prevails. For example, we have the broken country of Somalia in the Horn of Africa. There is practically no governance there. And that is why the pirates of Somalia are troubling anybody who goes through the Suez Canal. So that is the purpose of justice in the world. That is the purpose of ensuring that bad things happen to bad people so that people desist from bad behavior.
Thank you, Swamiji, for explaining the rationale behind the existence of systems of justice in the world. I'm getting a message from Alka to be given the opportunity to ask the next question. Yes, Alka, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Shreya. Swamiji, you have just described the importance of justice in the world we live in. I am curious to know whether the same applies to God as well. Why and how is justice dispensed in the court of God?
Alka, definitely, God is perfectly just, and his system of justice is even more perfect than the judicial system in the world for many reasons. In the world, a judge does not know what the convict is thinking. He is not antaryami. And that is why the judge needs to rely upon external evidences, external testimonies, etc. It is quite possible that the judge may make a mistake. Besides, even if, for example, the judge did come to know the heart of the convict and what the convict is thinking at the present moment, the judge is still not all-knowing or omniscient. And the judge doesn't know what happened at the time of the crime, a couple of years ago or a couple of months ago. And let us say, even if the judge did happen to be omniscient, there is the human factor. The judge has to make a decision based upon his or her understanding of judicial laws. And sometimes, because of that human factor, there could be a defect in the justice that is dispensed. That is why we have the system of appeals to higher courts. If the case is dismissed in a lower court, the judicial system allows that we appeal to a higher court all the way up to the Supreme Court. However, the justice of God is perfect, firstly because God is all-knowing. Apart from that, he is omnipresent and he is omnipotent. So God is the witness. He is the noter of the actions. and he is also the judge. He is also the police who dispenses the punishment. So, in the realm of God, in the court of God, there is no scope for injustice. That is the reason why, if a rich person torments a poor person, the poor person has no other recourse. He says, "Oh, Mr. Millionaire, do what you like. You have the strength of money. My and your case will be decided in the court of God." Now, this poor man is not a God realized saint. However, even an ordinary person believes, has faith that worldly people may be unjust, but from the court of God we can definitely expect perfect justice.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Swamiji is a man of God with deep faith in the divine system of justice. But we ordinary mortals are often besieged with doubts. Our experience in the world is sometimes different, and that shakes our faith. I will now request Shanil to voice his doubt about what has just been described as God's perfect law.
Thank you, Shreya. I wanted to bring Swamiji's attention to a book written by Harold Kushner on the same topic as we're discussing today. Why do bad things happen to good people? Kushner had a son with a rare disease called progeria. The disease causes premature aging, hence Kushner's son died at the age of 14. This made Kushner ponder deeply on the justice of God. So I would like to go ahead and ask Swamiji what is his take on such an occurrence.
Shanil, the book you are referring to by Harold Kushner is probably the most famous book on this topic. It was published in 1978, and I've had the opportunity to read it myself. It's interesting the analysis that he does. Having a bad thing happen to him, he starts questioning what was the reason for this. He thinks, I have never done anything bad in my life. Then why did God permit this to happen to me? So he considers two possibilities. The first is that God is not all good as we make him out to be. And the second is that he is all good, but he is not all powerful. So he analyzes that the concept that God is not all good is not digestible. We are pretty sure that God is definitely all good. So Kushner votes for the second alternative, that he is all good, but he is not all powerful. And that is why, although he wishes to do good, he is not able to. However, in my opinion, Kushner's analysis was based upon an incomplete understanding. When we say something good happening or something bad happening, what is the time frame that we are referring to? There is a beautiful Chinese story that comes to mind. A Chinese farmer once had a wild horse walking into his farm. His neighboring farmers, seeing that horse walk in, they exclaimed, "Oh, you are so lucky. Such a good thing has happened to you. You've got a free horse." The farmer said, "Good thing or bad thing, who knows?" A few days went by. The horse walked out of the field as easily as it had walked in. His neighboring farmers again exclaimed, "Oh, such a terrible thing has happened to you. You had this horse and now it has left." This farmer again said, Well, good thing or bad thing, who knows? A few more days went by. That wild horse who had walked out of the farm, it walked back with 20 more wild horses. Now again the neighboring farmers, they got together and started praising the luck of this farmer and said, "You are a really lucky guy. Such a good thing has happened to you. You have got so many free horses." He said, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" A few more days went by. The farmer's son was riding on this wild horse. He fell over and fractured his leg. Now the farmers again exclaimed, "Oh, this is awful. If that wild horse had not entered your farm, your son's leg would not have got fractured." Again, this farmer exclaimed, "Good thing or bad thing, God alone knows." A few more days went by. Now, that country entered into war with the neighboring country. So the king sent his soldiers to the countryside to recruit all the youth who were of fighting age. All the sons of the neighboring farmers got recruited, but these soldiers left the son of this one farmer because his leg was fractured. So, what is a good thing? What is a bad thing? This needs to be understood very carefully. Very often it happens that what we consider a good thing in the short run turns out to be a blessing in disguise in the long run. Swami Vivekananda had said, "Life is the continuous unfoldment of a being under circumstances tending to press it downwards." In other words, the nature of life is such it creates difficulties and obstacles in our way. And when we face these difficulties and obstacles, we need to rise, to grow, and meet the challenge. Sri Aurobindo had said, "It is often the darkest nights that prepare for the greatest dawns." A beautiful story in this regard will explain the point that I am trying to convey. One boy once saw in his house garden a cocoon hanging from the twig of a bush. This boy was really excited. He thought, "I will now see with my own eyes the butterfly emerging." So every day while going to school and while coming back from school, he would check that cocoon to see whether the butterfly has started popping out or not. One day, sure enough, he saw a dot on the cocoon. Now, since it was a weekend, every 2 hours he would go and check. And the dot was becoming bigger and bigger until it had become a tear. Finally, the butterfly pushed its head out of that cocoon. The boy was transfixed. He was looking at it with such excitement. The butterfly was emerging, tearing the cocoon apart, and coming out into the world, when all of a sudden it seemed to get stuck. It was half in and half out, and no amount of endeavor from its side was sufficient to pull it out. The boy saw that the butterfly's stomach was swollen and the wings were crumpled. The boy thought, "Let me help this butterfly and finish its agony." He took a pair of scissors and cut the cocoon into two. The butterfly fell flat on the ground. He saw that the butterfly's stomach was big, the wings were shriveled, He thought this would probably change very soon and the butterfly would fly away, but this was never to be. Little did that boy know that it would have been the process of pulling itself out of that cocoon that would have pushed the fluid from the stomach of the butterfly into its wings. Without that struggle, without that difficulty and challenge to overcome, the butterfly would remain handicapped all its life. Similarly, we people too look for someone who can cut our cocoon. We look for some way we can avoid the difficulties and challenges in life, little realizing that it is these challenges that help us to grow. They are God's way of helping us fill our wings and prepare for the flight ahead. So it is the difficulties that help shape us. There is a beautiful prayer that I'd like to share with you. A person says, I asked for strength and God gave me difficulties so that I may become strong. I asked for wisdom and God gave me problems to solve that I may become wise. I asked for prosperity and God gave me brawn and brain to work with and become prosperous. I asked for courage and God gave me dangers to surmount and develop courage. I asked for love and God gave me the troubled to help and develop my love. My prayers were answered.
Thank you, Swamiji. That was very motivating as well as inspiring.
Swamiji, thank you. That was a beautiful prayer. I have heard it often, but never understood the depth of its meaning until today. Swamiji, I have a question for you. If difficulties in life often result in elevating us from within, then we should welcome difficult times as a blessing of God. Why then does our mind naturally run away from suffering and seek pleasurable situations?
Shreya, the reason why we seek pleasurable situations and run away from difficulties is that we are not very clear about what's truly good for us. In our materialistic conception of life, we are seeking immediate comforts or Shreya Sukh or Preya Sukh. On the other hand, if our priority became spiritual growth, our priority became the unfoldment of our inner being, our priority became the attainment of the highest goal in life, we would then welcome difficulties and obstacles. The saints who understand this, they pray to God, do give me difficulties so that I quickly progress on this path to you. And the famous example is that of Kunti. She prayed to Lord Krishna, Vipada santu nashashvat tatra tatra jagat guru. After the battle of Mahabharat, when Yudhishthir was crowned as the king of Hastinapur, Kunti was now the Maharani. So she was in great luxury. Sri Krishna was about to go back to Dwarika. At that time he asked Kunti, what do you want? Varam Bruhi, ask for a boon. And Kunti said, O Lord Krishna, please give me difficulties. Please give me hardships, torments, strife in my life. Sri Krishna said, Kunti, why are you asking for that? Kunti said, "You well know, my lord." Sri Krishna said, "That's all very well, but nevertheless, say it out so that others may also hear." So Kunti said, "Janmaishwarya Shruta Shri Dhire Dhama Namada Puman Naivar Hatya Vidhatum Vai Twamakinchana Gocharam." O Sri Krishna, it is because of worldly opulences, worldly comforts, luxuries that we are forgetful of you and running towards the world. If we experience reversal in the world, we will become disillusioned. This is not my goal. This is not the direction in which I will find true happiness. Let me turn around from worldly attractions and look in the direction of God. So those saints who want God realization, they don't look upon difficulties as something to be avoided. Even the Bible says, "What profiteth a man if he gain the whole world, yet suffer the loss of his eternal soul?" That is why the Bible again says, God sometimes gives us suffering in life to turn us away from sin and seek eternal life. So all the saints have looked upon difficulties in this manner. Another example I can share with you on this point is of Saint Ekanath. He has been a very great saint in the state of Maharashtra about 500 years ago. He went to bathe in the holy river Narmada. When he came out from his holy bath, a bad element, a bad person was standing there, and this person spat upon him. Saint Ekanath was not dejected. He thanked the Lord. He thanked his worshipable Ishtadev. "Rukmini Vitthal, you are very kind." And he went and had another bath. This person did not desist. He was waiting for Saint Eknath to come out again. And the moment Saint Eknath climbed the stairs of the bathing ghat, he spat on him once again. But Saint Eknath still did not get angry. He went and had another bath. This continued for many hours. A crowd gathered on both sides of the river to see who would win. From morning it became evening time. In the evening that man accepted defeat. He said, "Maharaj, are you made of wood or are you made of stone? I have spat on you so many times. You did not even question me. What bad did I do to you to suffer this from your hands?" Saint Eknath said, "Listen, because of you, I have bathed in the holy river Narmada so many times today. You are my well-wisher. Then why should I get annoyed with you?" Now look at Saint Eknath's approach to an adverse situation. He does not run away from it. He accepts it and utilizes it to his benefit. Apart from the saints, even in the worldly realm, great personalities, their character has often been fashioned by difficulties. In America, nearby New Jersey, we have the Edison lamps. Thomas Alva Edison was from a very poor background. And it is said there was a time when he used to sell tea in railway trains. And once the railway conductor got so annoyed with him, he hit Edison. And because of that hit, Edison was practically deaf for 3 years. Later on, he was asked, "Did you feel unfortunate and unlucky that this happened to you?" Edison said, "Not really. My external ears were closed, but my internal ears opened. And during those years, I made tremendous progress. In the same way, we have the example of Abraham Lincoln. He was from a terribly poor family. I've heard a story about him, I've not verified it, that he once wanted to read the biography of George Washington, and he didn't have the money to buy it. So he borrowed it from his neighbor's house. However, Lincoln's own father's house was such a shanty that the rain poured in and this book got wet. So Lincoln apologized and he said, I will work in your farm to an equal amount to compensate for the loss of this book. So that was the difficult situation in which he grew up, and he grew up to be a person from whom even till today Americans derive inspiration. So what we call bad things happening to good people are not often bad things, but good things. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Krishna says, Tam bhranshayami sampadhyo yasya chechamyanugraham. He says, when I wish to particularly grace someone, I snatch away that person's material comforts. This is like, let's say a child is playing with a toy. Now the mother wishes to feed the child, but the child is not interested because the toy is so alluring. So what does the intelligent mother do? Rather than fighting with the child, she arranges for the toy to be snatched away. And once the toy is snatched away, the child does cry for a little while, but then it remembers its mother and cries out to its mother, and the mother comes and feeds her baby. Similarly, we are attached to the things of this world. We have forgotten who we are, what is our goal in life. So what we call bad things or material reversals, they help us become detached, come in an understanding of the reality of the world around us and seek eternal life. So this topic, why do bad things happen to good people? It could very often be corrected to mean, why do good things happen to good people?
Swamiji, your words are inspiring us to stand up to whatever good or bad life throws in our way with wisdom and understanding. There are more questions flowing in from the viewers. Sonia from Long Island, New York, has asked to know the difference between Shreya and prayer.
These two words are very important. They are mentioned in the Kathopanishad. There are two kinds of happiness, and these two kinds of happiness are related to the topic we are discussing today. So thank you, Sonia, for bringing up this point. Prayer is that kind of pleasure that is sweet in the present, but it becomes bitter later on. For example, a child wants to keep on eating ice creams. Now the mother says, my child, this is not good. It will spoil your health. You want immediate pleasure? Remember, it will give you misery in the long run. Very often, this is the fight between parents and children. Parents want to take the child away from prayer, and the child wants to run after prayer. The parents say, study hard, build a good and promising future, and you'll enjoy a happy life. and the child says, no, I don't want to study hard. I want to play and enjoy right now. So what the child is seeking is prayer or immediate pleasure that gives misery in the long run. On the other hand, what the parents are instructing the child to do is Shreya or austerities that later on give great happiness. In North India, there is a saying, आमले का खाया और बड़ों का कहा बाद में पता चलता है. The amla is the Indian gooseberry, and this Indian gooseberry is a very special fruit. In size, it is very small. However, it has the vitamin C of 10 oranges. The last time I was in Delhi, I was seeing some good Samaritan, some philanthropist had put big posters on Delhi Metro, educating people. Please take one amla every day to ensure that your bodily immunity remains up. The vitamin C contributes to the bodily immunity. But the interesting thing is that when you eat this amla, the Indian gooseberry, it tastes bitter. And so children don't like to eat it. So parents instruct them कि आमले का खाया और बड़ों का कहा बाद में पता चलता है. The eating of the amla and the instructions of the elders, the benefits of it, you come to know later on. So that kind of happiness, which is bitter right now and sweet later on, such happiness is Shreya Sukh, and that kind of happiness, which in contrast is sweet now but becomes bitter later on, such happiness is Preya Sukh.
With the argument so wonderfully developed to this stage, I would like to return now to Kiran and see if he has anything to ask at this point.
Thank you, Shreyaji. Swamiji, I would like to consider a broad definition of happiness. Let us say that if someone is unhappy, that is a bad thing. And if someone is happy, that is a good thing. Now the topic of today's discussion is, why do bad things happen to good people? In other words, why are good people unhappy?
Kiran, you have twisted the topic. Well and good. If you define good things as being happy, bad things as being miserable, we find that in this world, everybody is happy. In this world, everybody is unhappy. Good people are also unhappy. Bad people are also unhappy. Ultimately, this world is a prison house. Now, what do you expect in a prison house? I don't know if any of you have been to jail. I have been to jail many times. Not to be admitted there, but to give lectures. The first time I went to jail was about 25 years ago. I was giving a lecture in a district place of Orissa, the district of Phulbani, and the jailer was attending my lecture. Now he was very inspired by what he was hearing. So he approached me and said, Swamiji, you have to come to jail. I said, all right, if that is your wish. So the next day I accompanied him to the jail. That was my first experience. He put me in front of these convicts, the prisoners there. They were all morose, their eyes were down, they were to some extent a little embarrassed or to be in front of Swamiji when they are in jail. I just didn't know what to speak to them. So inadvertently I blurted out, "Are you people unhappy?" They all lifted their eyes and started exclaiming, "Yes, yes, yes, we are all unhappy." I said, "Very good." They thought, what? We shared our hurt with Swamiji, and he is saying, "Very good." The least we could have expected from a Swamiji would have been compassion, and he is rubbing salt into our wounds. So I explained that what is the purpose of a jail? The purpose is that we should be unhappy so that we become reformed. And if we find happiness in the jailhouse, if the jailhouse is exceedingly comfortable for us, then we will not wish to get out. And when the term comes to an end, we will make arrangements so that once we are released into the external world, again we do something to be brought back into the jail as a guest of the government. So just like the purpose of the jailhouse is that we should be to a certain extent unhappy so that our errant behavior is reformed. In the same way, this material realm is ultimately the jailhouse of God. We are all here because we have forgotten Him. Now, in this jailhouse, if we could become happy, there would be no need for approaching God and surrendering to Him. There's a beautiful story I like to relate in this regard. Some of you may have heard this from me. One man used to always complain to God, "Oh God, why did you write all miseries in my name? Other people I find are so happy." Now, having heard this complaint from him so many times, God thought, all right, let me open his eyes. So the next night, God came in his dream and said, "Gather all your miseries, put them into a gunny bag, and bring the gunny bag to my temple." It was a very vivid dream. His sleep broke. He got up. It was 4 in the morning. He was astounded. What a dream that was. It was totally different from all other dreams, as if God was actually present and instructing me. So if that is God's wish, let me comply. He picked up his miseries, put them into a bag, lifted the bag onto his shoulder, and he walked out of his house. Now it was dark outside. He found his neighbors also walking out with one bag. He thought, what? They had the same dream as I have had. They are also bringing their misery bags to God's temple. So has God instructed everyone at the same time in the same manner? So they also have their miseries. I thought they were very happy from the size of their Cadillac car and the number of bedrooms in their house. But their bags are even bigger than mine. I wonder what is in their bags. All these people, they reached the temple. God had arranged for nails to be driven into the walls of the temple. When everybody gathered inside, God began speaking. He said, "You see these nails on the wall? Hang your bags from a nail and stand by the side of your respective bags. Observe all the other bags and select any that catches your fancy. The lights are going to go for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, they will come back. During that time, you are welcome to change your bag. If you have chosen any particular bag, then when the lights are gone, you go and stand by the side of your chosen bag. When the lights come on, whoever is standing by the side of whichever bag can pick it up and go away." The lights went off. They came back again, and it was found that each person was still standing by the side of their own bag. Each person thought, let's play it safe. At least I know what is in my bag. I've got a little bit of diarrhea and a little bit of blood pressure and a little familial problem, but I don't know what is in the other's bag. Whether the other person has got swine flu, H1N1 virus, or whatever. So each person walked out with their own bags, and the illusion they had that they are unhappy, the others are happy was dispelled. That ultimately nobody is happy in this material realm. And the reason for that is that God, the material energy, inspires us that this is not your goal, this is not your home. You can never find the happiness of your soul out here. If you wish to be truly happy, then go to the shelter of God. So if you have defined happiness, defined a good thing as happiness and a bad thing as unhappiness, then we have to rephrase the sentence that everybody is unhappy. And the fact that we are all in this jail indicates that we are really not very good people. We are moderately good people, but the good people are those who are God realized, who are in the abode of God. So the sentence should be, why do bad things happen to moderately good people? And the answer is to help us become truly and really good people.
Thank you, Swamiji, for the wonderful knowledge.
All right. I'm receiving a message from Alka since some time. Yes, Alka, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Shreya. Swamiji, you just explained to us that this world is like God's jailhouse, and it is only to be expected that people here are unhappy. But even in a jailhouse, there is justice. So coming back to Kushner's question about his son having progeria, what is the system of justice of God in this prison house called the material world?
Alka, even in the jailhouse, there is a perfect system of justice. This we refer to in the Vedic system as the law of karma. Karma pradhana vishwa kari rakha jo jas karai so tas phalu chakha. And the Bible as well says, as you sow, that shall you also reap. So there is a law of karma. We all have our stockpile of endless lifetimes of karma called sanchit karma that we will have to bear the results of in this life and in future lives. The only problem is that Kushner's time frame was wrong. He was considering the justice within one lifetime. Now, one lifetime isn't really much. And if we restrict our understanding to just one lifetime, then a lot of questions will be there that cannot be answered. If a person is born blind and that person asks, what did I do that I was born blind? What will you answer that person? If we say it was the will of God, then God is compassionate. Why should God will in such a manner? And if you say it's the result of your own actions, the person says, I was born blind. Where was the question of actions? So the only logical answer is this is the result of actions from past lifetimes. So if we keep our understanding that this life is our first entry into existence, we never had any life before this, we will never have any life after this, then there are going to be lots of questions that cannot be answered. like the one that Kushner faced. However, we need to expand this. We, the soul, we are eternal and we are in a journey. Our journey did not begin with this birth, nor will it end upon death. Now, in this journey that all of us face of multiple lifetimes, some people sometimes ask, what is the proof that we've had past lives? Sri Krishna says, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. He says, Arjun, what we call as changing bodies is happening in this life itself. If we look at our family album, people, they point to the picture of a 2-year-old baby, they say, Swamiji, that is me. Then there is a 5-year-old boy, they say, Swamiji, that is me. Then there's a young adult, Swamiji, that is me. Then a person getting married, that is also me. And then an adult, that is also me. Now, if we were the body, we would have changed multiple times. But intuitively, we realize that within this changing body, I am still the same person. I am not changed. That unchanging self is the soul. What is changing is the body. The Bhagavad Gita states that in this life itself we have changed so many bodies. Modern science informs us that within 7 years all the cells in our body regenerate. They die out, other cells take their place. So within 7 years we have completely changed our body. Sri Krishna says similarly, at the time of death, or what we call death in material parlance, the soul rejects its old inhabitable body and takes on a new body. The Nyaya Darshan gives another evidence for the process of rebirth. It says, Jatasya harsha shoka bhaya sampratipatah. It says, look at a little baby. That baby for no reason becomes scared. Occasionally, for no reason, it becomes happy. Occasionally, without any motivation, it starts lamenting. Now, what is going on here? The Nyaya Darshan says the baby has yet not totally forgotten its past life. It is remembering incidents from the past life and hence experiencing harsh, shok, bhai, joy, lamentation, and fear. But the process is such. A large extent of our memory of life gets erased at the time of death. And then that's because death is so painful for the soul. And the process of birth is even more painful for the soul. So during birth, the child again forgets a major portion of its past experiences. A few residual images remain, but then as the child grows up, the impressions of this life are so strong that they blank out all past impressions. So there are various evidences of past life. There have been people in all cultures of the world who were born, who occasionally didn't have a blank out of past memories and they did recall their past lives. These have been verified by scientists. So when we realize that this life is not all there is, then now the law of karma can be understood, and this is the system of justice that prevails in this jailhouse or the material realm.
Thank you for that beautiful explanation, Swamiji.
The law of karma is a fascinating topic A topical question has come in from a viewer. Satish from Michigan is asking what the three kinds of karmas mentioned in the scriptures are.
Thank you, Satish. You have brought up an important point. The three kinds of karmas need to be understood by all of us so that we can understand why things happen to us. One is the stockpile of karmas of endless lifetimes. Everything we have ever done, God has an account of this. That stockpile of endless lifetimes for each of us is called Sanchit Karma. Now, each time God sends us back into this world, at the time of birth, He gives us a portion of this stockpile. That this portion you need to bear the fruit of in this life when I'm sending you again. Your karmas, you have to bear the results. So the segment of the Sanchit that we are given to bear the results of in our present life at the time of birth itself is called Prarabdha Karma, or we often refer to it as destiny. This destiny gets fixed. We are all born with a certain destiny. However, there is a third karma, and this is Kriyaman karma. So Kriyaman are the actions we perform out of our own free will in the present moment. The Sanchit is already there. The Prarabdha is determined upon birth, but the Kriyaman is not decided. The Kriyaman is in our hands and we can act as we wish. Karmanam sanchidadinam jivo dhinastathapihi swatantraha kriyamane vai krito bhagavata vidha. This verse from the Sukti Sudhakar says that at each moment we have a choice how we wish to act. So the result that we get in life is a combination of both the Prarabdha karma or our destiny and the Kriyaman, the actions of our free will. Dr. Radha Krishnan, he compared this to a game of cards. So he said, when you play cards, you are dealt a hand. Now that hand is fixed. You can't change the cards, you have to play with them. However, how you play is not fixed. That is up to you. That is why they have bridge tournaments, because even though a person may have a bad hand dealt to him or her, yet there is scope for playing well or badly, which is not determined. So similarly, whatever is written in our destiny, we will get by its own accord. That much of wealth, that much of education, etc. However, the Kriyaman is most important. The karmas that are in our hand. And that is what we need to focus upon. So a wise man in Indian history, Chanakya Pandit, he said, Utsaha vahtam kshatravopi vashi bhavanti nirutsaha daivam patitam. He said, you may have the best destiny or the best prarabdha karma, but if you don't put in good efforts, if you don't work hard, it's possible you may lose the good fortune that was coming your way. And similarly, you may have a bad destiny. However, if you put in sufficient good efforts in the present, you do sufficient kriyaman in the present, you can convert that bad destiny into a good one. So I hope that answers your question of the three kinds of karmas: Sanchit karma, Prarabdha karma, and Kriyaman karma.
Thank you, Swamiji. Next, we have a question from Shanil. Shanil, please go ahead.
Swamiji, as you mentioned that we have karmas from endless lifetimes, from the past, my question to you is there a way to burn all those karmas or to get rid of them?
Shanil, that is a very important question. Like we discussed, that the account of karmas is of many lifetimes. Dhritarashtra had asked something pertaining to this from Sri Krishna. After the battle of Mahabharata was over and his 100 sons were killed, he accosted the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna in private, and he said, "O Lord, what karma did I do that me, an old man, is suffering separation from my 100 children? They have all passed away, and I am lamenting their loss in my old age." Sri Krishna said, "Dhritarashtra, you did not do any such bad deed in this life. But do you remember whether you did any such bad deed in your past life?" Dhritarashtra had the boon. He remembered 3 of his past lives. So he said, "My Lord, I did not do any such bad deed in my past life as well." Sri Krishna said, "The life before?" "No, my Lord, I draw a blank." "The life before?" "My Lord, I did not do any such evil in the life before that as well." Sri Krishna said, "What about the life before?" Dhritarashtra said, "I do not remember." Sri Krishna said, "Dhritarashtra, you remember 3 past lives. I have the account of your endless past lives. And it is based upon that that you have received this suffering in this present life." So we all have that stockpile of karmas from endless lives, the Sanchit. And your question is, how do we settle the account for this? Now, that Sanchit is infinite in extent. It is the sum total of infinite lifetimes. So if we go on bearing the results, we will continue for the rest of infinity in order to settle it. And on the way, we will keep committing karmas. So this account will never get settled if God dispenses justice. In other words, through recourse to justice, God will keep giving us the results of our Sanchit karmas. We will keep bearing, we will keep doing new karmas. We will never be clear of this. So to burn those Sanchit karmas, there is another law of God. That is the law of grace. If He decides to grace us, by His grace, He can erase the entire account. This is very much like we have in the world. If the Supreme Court declares death penalty upon someone, now the Supreme Court is the highest court and there is no way to go beyond that. Nevertheless, the law states that such a person can still appeal to the president. And the president, if he so desires, can then, out of grace, pardon that person. So similarly, if God decides to bestow His grace, then by His grace, He can burn our stockpile of karmas of endless lifetimes, the Sanchit karma.
Swamiji, being born and raised in a Western country, the subject of karma is It's so confusing. Thank you for simplifying it and making me understand it.
With his
Thank you,
spiritual
Sharil.
expertise, Swamiji has smoothly brought the topic to grace and given us the logic behind it. Once again, I have a penetrating question that has been sent by our viewers. She asks, if God destroys all the karmas by grace, does that not become injustice? Where is the fairness in such a lenient law of grace?
Grace is not a whimsical act from the side of God. Just like I compared it to the pardoning that a president has the privilege to exercise. However, that pardon granted by the president is not a whimsical act. There are rules for it. If such and such and such criteria is met, then the president has the right to grant pardon. Similarly, the grace of God is dependent upon a rule. God says, if you wish to receive my grace, you need to surrender yourself. So, as long as we are not surrendered, His law of justice applies to us. As you sow, that shall you also reap. But when we surrender to Him, the law changes. He then says that by virtue of your surrender, you attract my grace. And by my grace, I then destroy those karmas. So, this grace, because it is based upon laws, hence it is also just. Now, consider the example of a father who has two sons. He instructs his sons that we have got our paddy field and it's time to plant the crops. So please go and work in the field. Work hard all day long. This is the important time of the year. And when you come back, I will reward you. Now, one of the sons, he went, toiled it in the field, sweated it out, and at night, when he returned to his father was pleased. He said, you are loyal, you are dedicated. Well done, my son. Here is your reward, $500. Go and enjoy yourself. On the other hand, the second son did nothing. He kept lying on his bed. He kept abusing his father. He kept drinking, smoking. Now in the evening, if his father says, never mind, you are also my son, let me reward you. I'll give you $500. Go enjoy yourself. Now you may feel that the $500 given by the father to the second son is a good thing. But what would be the consequences of that? The first son's dedication and commitment would get shattered. The first son would say, is this the reward policy of my father? I did nothing and I worked all day long and I got $500. My brother did nothing and he also got $500. If this is the way my father wishes to reward us, then from tomorrow I will also do nothing. I will get the reward in any case. So similarly, God says that if I bestow my grace without rules, without your surrendering to me, all those who became saints in the past, they would complain. They would say, oh God, what happened here? We struggled for lifetimes. Janmantara sahasreshu tapodhyana samadhi Naranam China Papanam Krishne Bhakti Prajayate. We endeavored, and when our hearts were purified, our surrender was complete, we received your divine grace. How come you bestowed grace upon this person without surrender? Then what was the purpose of our surrender? So God says that I do not do such whimsical acts of grace, that grace is also bestowed upon a perfectly rational criteria. You understand that criteria and act accordingly. You want my grace? Yes, my Lord. Surrender to me. I don't want your grace. All right, don't surrender. No, I want your grace, but I don't want to surrender. God says that will not be. Only when you surrender will you receive that grace. So the law of surrender and grace is not outside the system of justice, it is well within the realm of justice of God.
Thank you, Swamiji, for explaining the law of grace and surrender. We have time for one more question. Let us go over to Alka for the last question.
Thank you, Shreya. I would like to ask Swamiji, why has God given us a choice in the first place? If He had not given us the option to do bad, there would be no need to reform us through such a laborious process.
Alka, you are right in raising that question. If we did not have choice, there would be no scope for doing bad, but there would also be no scope for doing good. Choice is very necessary in order to love. Only that personality can love who has the free will to choose. A machine doesn't have the capacity to love because it has no choices. On the other hand, we human beings have been bestowed with a free will, and that free will gives us the potential to really and truly love. So, on one side, God has given us the choice, and along with that, He has made it our intrinsic nature that we inherently seek to be good. Although people may do bad, within their hearts they always respect good. Somebody may say lies himself, but if another lies to that person objects. Why did you lie to me? Well, you lie so many times in a day. If I am lying, what is your problem? No, I may lie, but I don't want anybody to lie to me. You see, the person who tells lies also expects honest behavior from others. We may cheat, but if anybody cheats us, we are annoyed. One thief, he stole from a house and came back to his own house, counted his loot of the day, was very happy. He got something valuable. He went off to sleep. Now at night, a second thief entered the first thief's house and stole from the first thief's house. Now the first thief, when he woke up and came to know there had been a theft, he was annoyed. Who is this? Who has stolen from my house? Doesn't he know who I am? If I find him, I will not let him live. I will break his teeth, break his head. Now you ask him, why are you getting so annoyed? You are a thief yourself. You should be happy. Earlier there was one thief in the neighborhood and now there are two. Your party has doubled. Why are you getting so agitated? So the first thief says, no, I may steal, but I don't want anybody to steal from me. You see, from others we seek virtuous behavior. pious behavior, just behavior, kindness, compassion. That is our nature. Virtue, kindness, compassion, these are the qualities of God. And because we are all tiny parts of God, we naturally love these qualities and we seek them in others. Another beautiful instant that I can relate to you in this regard is one from the Mahabharata, when Karn's chariot wheel got stuck in the mud. Now Sri Krishna instructed Arjun, shoot him in the back. When his chest is towards you, you will not be able to kill him. Karn heard Sri Krishna's statement. Karn's ears were very powerful. He was born through the ear. So Karn said, Sri Krishna, you are God. You have manifested dharma, or the laws of proper conduct in the Vedas. And you are asking Arjun to do adharma? What kind of God are you? So Karn told Sri Krishna, Kshatra dharma mavekshasva. What is the code of conduct for a warrior, O Sri Krishna? Think, think. Sri Krishna said, Karn, you love dharma or proper conduct? In that case, where did your dharma go when the righteous Draupadi was being disrespected in the assembly of the Kauravas? Where did your dharma go when the rightful share of the Pandavas was being snatched away from them by these impious Kauravas? You, if you prefer dharma, why have you fought from the side of the evil Kauravas rather than the righteous Pandavas? Somebody who stands for adharma expects dharma from us. We will kill such a person through adharma. This is the law of dharma. So what I'm trying to say is that we all expect righteousness from others. Why? Because these are the qualities of God. He is kind, He is just, He is honest, He is virtuous, He is compassionate. We are His tiny parts and we naturally love these qualities. And until we get these qualities in ourselves, we will not be contented, we will not be happy, we will not feel that we have reached home. So on one side, God has given us the free will. On the other side, He's created our intrinsic nature. And along with that, He has established His laws and the nature of this world, all in such a manner that it arranges for our gradual growth. So the purpose of God's laws, the purpose of the suffering in this world is to ensure the gradual unfoldment of our personality, the growth of our personality over a continuum of lifetimes. There was once a piece of wood. It went to a murtikar, a sculptor, and said, can you make me beautiful? The sculptor said, I am ready. Are you ready? The wood said, yes, I am. The sculptor took out his tools and he started chiseling at the wood, filing it, rubbing it. Now the wood complained, this is painful. What are you doing? Please don't do it. The sculptor said, if you wish to be beautiful, you will have to tolerate the pain. The wood said, all right, do it, but please do it in very ration doses every day. Now the sculptor continued his work. The wood continued complaining, "Enough for today, I've had enough, I don't want any more, please do this tomorrow." The work continued, and after a certain amount of time, that wood had got transformed into a beautiful deity and got established in the temple of the Lord. So, similarly, we are attached to the world. We've got anger, greed, lust, illusion, hatred. This is our present state. The suffering that comes our way, the difficulties that come in our path, these are all arranged to help us grow. Let us have faith in the laws of God, in the wisdom of God, and while putting in our best efforts, all that comes our way, let us with faith accept it as the grace of God.
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for that beautiful explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji. This has been an excellent discussion. It was very animated and very participative. We have to stop here. There were many questions from the viewers, and so we could only accommodate a few in this program. But there will be many more occasions. The wonderful response to this Google Hangout inspires us to have more such events in future. In fact, we will request Swamiji to make this a regular event. Some announcements. Swamiji's lectures on many different topics are available on YouTube. You can subscribe to JKYog videos through Jagadguru Kripalu Yog YouTube channel and watch them at your own convenience. As you know, Swamiji is on his USA program tour. For Swamiji's upcoming programs, schedules, and details, visit www.jkyog.org. And we have a retreat coming up in the 4th of July weekend. This is a wonderful opportunity to spend a weekend away from your hectic routine. You can check out the details for retreat and registration on our website. We hope this was an enriching experience for you. We love to hear from you. Send your email to hangout@jkyog.org. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, namaste.
Thank you, Swamiji.
From my side, I would like to thank all our panelists today for having been with me on this Google Hangout. And thank you for all your penetrating questions. It was indeed a joy to receive questions from you as well as from the audience. And for all of those who were tuned in to this Hangout, I would like to say that this is a very nice beginning, and we look forward to more Hangouts like this in future. And thank you, all of you, and wish you all the best. My prayers to God for blessing you with all success in your spiritual journey.
Swamiji, thank you for shining divine Vedic light in a simplified and easy to understand format on a topic that is very deep and intellectual.
Thank you, Swamiji, for the valuable information.
Swamiji, namaste, and thank you for answering all my questions so well today. Your insight helped clarify and resolve a lot for me. And to everyone else, especially to all my friends and family who joined, until next time, namaste.